Okay, in today's gospel reading that we did, Jesus is making a huge distinction between a piety that demonstrates care and concern because you want others to see you doing it and recognize you for your good works, as opposed to a piety that you genuinely care for others based on their need and from out of the goodness of your heart. What does it mean to be true to who you are and to live out of your identity despite public opinion? To have the reality of how you live match the rhetoric by which you speak. This is the essence of integrity, or the heart of integrity. And the next level above integrity is integrity that's been tested, integrity that's been proven to be true. And there's a word for that, which you probably rarely hear. It's called probity. Probity is integrity that's been put to the test of fire and come out intact. It's you being really you, even when no one's watching. Isn't that what we were just talking about a minute ago, right? Do you think I'm always like, oh, you know, holy Pastor Roy? Heck no. Janine's shaking her head. Because at home, there's not a day that goes by that Janine doesn't say, if they only knew. That's her favorite things to say. When I'm doing something stupid, she likes to say, if they, and they is you guys, by the way, if they only knew, you know, and I'd just be like, oh, I know, right? But it's you being you when no one's watching. And the thing is, it's hard because we all, and this is a funny thing too, I said, when I wrote this, it didn't hit me, but we all wear masks. And now it's true, we really do wear masks, but the masks I'm talking about are the masks that are not our true identity. We change our masks depending upon the situation, who we're talking to. When we're at church, we're, oh, holy, you know. When we're with the scouts, we're different. When we're with the boys at the football game, we're different. When we're at the track, the racetrack, we're really, really different. We're way far off the, you know, but we all wear masks. So sometimes it's hard. Whether we admit it or not, we do. We just do. We're not who we really are all the time. Jesus is calling on his disciples in this gospel reading, and of course us, as we read it, to be who we are, who we were made to be, our true essence. Do we know who God made us to be? In the Bible, you remember in the very beginning when Adam was given the responsibility of naming every creature, right? I wish I would have had that. I think I would have changed some of them, but anyway, God breathed his essence, his isness into every living being. Every living creature that has breath has that isness at its core. And we were brought into alignment with God way back in with Adam, and then that alignment was broken. And ever since we're trying to get back. We won't until the day Jesus comes back. But the naming of each living thing calls out the irreplaceable aspect of every living thing. As I said, it's isness, its core, its uniqueness. There's a poet, I'm sure some of you have heard of, W.H. Auden, and he called it eachness, isness, or eachness. Each of us is an unrepeatable original, drawn from the essence of God and his original design. And we all, each and every one of us, have this eachness, and we're called to make our lives and our faith, living out of that uniqueness, we're called to make our lives an adventure. An adventure, not an agenda, an adventure. C.S. Lewis, in his autobiography, which is called Surprised by Joy, he used a fun medieval word to describe this unique identity, and it's a great word. It's called quiddity, which sort of sounds like oddity, or something from a Harry Potter novel, right? Christian was Harry Potter last night at the Spooktacular. So quiddity sounds like, you know, like Hogwarts or something, right? But it's actually our unique being, our isness. And each of us has a quiddity. But sometimes we don't seem to want to live out of our uniqueness. Sometimes it seems like we want to live out of our conformity. I want to be like the Kardashians. I want to be like, what was it? Be like Mike, right? Mike, was that a saying way back? Like Mike, was it Michael Jordan? I think it was. Yeah. I want to be like Mike, right? I want to be like fill in the blank. I'm not so sure I'm completely comfortable with being me. I want to be like Susan. She's cool. Right? I want to be like somebody else. But we're all unique beings. We all have God's Spirit at our core. Our individual beauty comes from our varied quiddity. We're all different. Sometimes we need others, though, to speak into our lives, to point out our quiddity, to celebrate our quiddity, to live with us in our quiddity. You know, a big, giant piece of rock, an ordinary piece of rock, can be sculpted into something magnificent, just like we, each day, are being transformed by the renewing of our minds to be more like Jesus. Your unique nature, each and every one of you, is being used by God to not only sanctify you and to prepare you for heaven, but to also equip you to accomplish God's work here, now, in the kingdom now, on earth. Here's the thing. If we celebrate, if we rub noses, well, we can't rub noses right now, but maybe in 2023, if we rub noses with each other's quiddity, that's a funny way of just saying, I'm going to really learn about you. Wouldn't the world be a much more loving and accepting place if we accepted each other's uniqueness? Snap judgments of individuals would turn into celebrations of their special makeup, right? You see somebody, instead of going, oh man, look at that dude, he's this, go, look at that guy, he's got like blue hair, that's so cool, and all these tattoos, and it looks like he's just having fun, you know? I want to get to know that guy, instead of, the guy with the blue hair and his tattoos, I want to give him a wide berth, right? If we can celebrate people's uniqueness, our snap judgments will go away. And we also, each and every morning, have the unique opportunity, because each day even has its own quiddity. Each day has its own unique specialness to it. No 2 days are alike, just like no two people are alike. They're special, and we should look for the differences in people, not the similarities. And when we find those differences, we should celebrate them, not put them down, but celebrate them. I know it's a radical concept. It is, because as human beings, I think we want to look at somebody and we immediately want to pick out what's wrong with them to make ourselves feel better, right? What if we were to look at somebody and immediately pick out all the good points of them and celebrate them? It's a crazy concept, but I think it's doable. Now, to enter into the quiddity or the uniqueness of another human being, there's probably more than three, but being good Lutherans, we're Trinitarians, we speak in threes. I picked 3 things that you must do if you really want to celebrate the uniqueness of someone else, their being. And here they are, off. Number 1 is off. Turn off the autobiography. Turn off the autobiography. Now, it's funny that I would say that, because I'm always encouraging you all to celebrate your story. You all have a God story. You're all unique in your story, and your story's powerful. It is. So it's going to sound funny what I'm about to say, to turn that off. But when you're truly trying to celebrate someone else's uniqueness that has perhaps come to you for advice, you need to turn off your autobiography so we can clearly see the other person, what they're trying to say. For example, somebody may come to you with a medical diagnosis. Somebody may come to you and say, well, I had a cancer, skin cancer cut off my head recently, and I really need to talk because I'm a little worried about it, right? Immediately, as human beings, what do we try to do? We try a lot of times to wrap our heads around that. And the way we do it sometimes is to put ourselves in that story. So if Dean came to me and said, oh, I just had this cancer removed off my head, I'm not even, from that point on, I'm barely listening to him, right? Because what am I doing? I'm going, making it into my story, right? Oh, well, wow, you think, what was that, like a cheesy basil cell? I'll take your basil and raise it with a giant melanoma that was on my stomach that they took off that would have killed me in 18 months. Ha! How do you like that, sucker, and your little basil? I'm being crazy, I'm being, right? But don't we do that immediately? Somebody comes to you and says, anything you can think of, oh, my Chevy truck, the engine, something happened. It's like, you're going like, oh boy, is my truck gonna do that? You know, so we need to turn off our stories. Because what happens is, a lot of times if we don't, we get so caught up in trying to wrap our story into theirs that we miss out on the opportunity to celebrate their uniqueness, to celebrate what they're trying to tell us. In fact, when we don't listen, when we're sitting there formulating our own story and thinking of an answer, we may actually end up jeopardizing the entire conversation. Dean may have come to me and wanted to really talk to me about this cancer that he had on his head because it was the first time it's ever happened to him. And what do? I immediately go into this giant long story about melanoma and I didn't even give him a chance to tell his story because I jumped right into my story, right? We need to do more listening. We miss the chance to listen when we reload. And what I mean by reload is in our mind, we're immediately thinking of answers or similarities in stories. And my story's better, or my story's such and such. You see, it's hard to have understanding without standing under. You get it? It's hard to understand somebody without standing under. So we need to flip off the autobiography temporarily. Then secondly, we need to turn on the all-there-ness. That's not even really a word, but for the sake of this, we'll say it is. We need to turn on the all-there-ness. Truly go all in. Truly be there. Truly listen. Be in the moment. Be mindful. There's a book I've recommended to you guys before by John Kabat-Zinn called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And it's a great book. It's all about being mindful. The highest compliment that you can give to someone is to be there for them. You understand that? That really is the highest compliment. I'm taking time out of my day because I want to get to know you. I want to get into your struggle. I want to know what you're talking about. That is a huge compliment to somebody. And it truly is one of the highest compliments that you can give them. It's paying attention, being in a state of attending. And you don't even, here's the thing about it is, the crazy thing about it is, you don't even have to say anything. If you sit there and somebody just pours their heart out to you, that's a huge compliment. And I'm here to tell you, I think it's even more of a huge compliment if you don't say anything, if you just listen, let them talk. It's much easier to see the spiritual in the ordinary when we're tuned in, when we're focused, when we're tuned in. Without letting our mind ruminate and go off on a million different directions and we're not even really hearing what they... Have you ever been talking to someone and you just know they're tuned out, right? They're not even listening to you. They're looking past you. How many of you have ever done that? I've talked to people and I just know darn good and well they're not listening to me, right? We need to be good listeners. And then that brings to number 3. Put on high, as high as you can go, like 1 to 10, crank it up to 10. The listening skills. Be all in, be all there, and be a listener. You get inside their skin, their quiddity, their essence, their spirit when you listen. And when you're tempted to reload because we've all got, let's face it, we think anyway, we've all got a quiver full of wise arrows, right? And we can just pull them and just shoot them. And I've got so much wisdom I'm going to share with you, So when they're talking, we're reloading our quiver going, I got the answer to that. I got the answer to that. We need to stop that. And I'm speaking to myself here. As a pastor, sometimes my listening skills leave a lot to be desired because I'm also a male and I'm a fixer. And like when my daughter starts to tell me something, I'm immediately thinking of the answer. Sometimes she doesn't want the answer. Sometimes she just wants to tell me what's going on, but I'm thinking, I got it, I'm salivating. I can't wait for her to a break in her words so I can jump in with the answer. We don't need to do that. And I don't need to do that. We need to be better listeners. You've heard the saying, you need to sit on your hands, man. Well, sometimes we need to bridle our tongues to absorb the uniqueness of the person at hand, to give them that highest compliment that we can give them. The most sacred word in the Hebrew language, you don't even say. It's Y, capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H. And we say that as what? Yahweh, right? Yahweh. The second most sacred word in the Hebrew language was actually a word spoken by Moses, Abraham, David, and some of the greats of the Bible. God calls them into their quiddity. God calls them and said to Moses, I need to use you. Moses said, oh, I'm not a great speaker, and I killed somebody, by the way. David had an affair and killed somebody, killed the husband of the woman he was with, right? And Abraham, you know, he had his problems. God called them in their uniqueness, warts and all. And what did they say? The second most sacred word in Hebrew. And I had to spell it out phonetically. Hanani. Hanani is what they said. And that is, here I am, Lord. Here I am, Lord. Here I am in all my weakness, with all my warts, in all my doubt, in all my fear, but in all my uniqueness. Use me. I'm here. Use me. You see, God doesn't wait for us to clean up our act before he welcomes us. He doesn't stand back and just go like this. All right, get your stuff together. Oops. Get your stuff together. I almost said it, man, right in church. That would have been an interesting one, right? There's been worse, though. I got to tell you. It's been worse. But God doesn't wait for that. God doesn't wait for us to clean up our act and then go, okay, come on, come on. What does he do? He pulls us into his bosom and hugs us tight and forgives us and loves us. And then he uses our weaknesses for his glory. You see, the weaker we are, the more the grace of God rests on us. So what do we want to be? We want to be weak. I know it sounds crazy. You can't say that on the street. They look at you like you're crazy. But in here we go, Lord, I will be weak because I'll be powerful with you. You and I are special. We are unique. We are a remarkable, one-of-a-kind creation of God. And we're valuable because God made us valuable. It's his ownership of each of us that makes us valuable. How much, Corey, how much would you pay for a toothbrush? I don't mean a Sonicare. I mean just a regular, good old toothbrush. How much would you pay? $4? Yeah. How about a used one? How about a used toothbrush?
Who used it?
Me.
No.
No? Yeah, I wouldn't buy that either. What if a toothbrush was owned by Napoleon? Okay. How much would you pay for it then? Well, at auction, a used toothbrush that was owned by Napoleon sold for $21,000. How much would you pay for a fake set of pearls? $20, $30? I don't know if they're really nice, maybe $100. What if that set of pearls was owned by Jackie Onassis Kennedy? How much would you pay for those fake pearls then? Well, at auction, they sold for $200,000 a set of fake pearls. How much would you pay for a piece of sheet music of a song you could play on the piano? $1, $2. In 2003, an original autographed piece of sheet music signed by Beethoven sold for $1.5 million. You see, here's the thing. My point is, besides those fun facts, ownership makes all the difference. Ownership makes the difference. And we are safe and secure in the arms of a Savior who not only created us, but he loves us, who not only created us and loves us, but loves us as we are today, not as we should be, but as we are, warts and all. Our quiddity, our essence, our godness. And nothing will ever take that away, ever.